Hey everybody, welcome back. Got a real cool video tonight. So for the whole month of August, we tried to take the camera along, the iPhone, and film our planting, our food plots. Our food plots on our grounds that we work on, the grounds that we lease, our hunting grounds, some of our friends' grounds. And we took you along and showed you our strategies, our seed selection, why we did what we did, how we planted. I didn't really get into the, real fancy filming. I don't have a film crew that follows me around doing this. It's just me and an iPhone, but it seems to work pretty good. But I took it along and tried to film the important parts, some strategies, some setups, what we were using and why we were doing it, and got some really cool videos. Plots turned out phenomenal. We filmed all the way from, I think, August 5th we started and finished up the other day. It was like about September 2nd or 3rd was the last video we took. But really cool video. Hope you enjoy it. This is our August planting here in Upper Michigan.
Are up in Upper Michigan, and what we're doing today is spraying to get ready for planting cereal grains. We just sprayed that food plot. Now that was mulched last year and there's still a lot of debris in there, so that's gonna have to get lightly disked, but we got that sprayed. Just sprayed liquid on our clover. Hard to believe we mowed this 8 days ago. And then I want to check out our Milo here. This is unbelievable. Better than I ever dreamed that it's going to turn out. So this is brassica, peas, and buckwheat, and we had to drop a little bit more just because it was so drought. I no sooner got done planting 3 weeks ago when the drought hit, and we got a little bit of rain on Friday a week ago, and you can see the buckwheat's doing really nice. And all I did was added buckwheat just because we had spilled the bag and I didn't want it to sit there over winter. Here's an update video with this big food plot we did in the UP. Just starting to green up now. We got a couple of good rains on it, and it's about half up. Looks really nice. That was planted 10 days ago. All right, so we're on another food plot for one of our friends, and all they did was scuff the top of this with a landscape rake, and it's still pretty firm. They just cleaned up. You could see it's it's ferns, and they had this opening, really good access, and then they got 3 lanes. But we're in some serious big woods. This is like, multiple sections of huge woods. So this is gonna have heavy browse pressure, plus we've got decent sun but not the best, so we're not even gonna think about brassicas in here. This is an organic. We're actually on top of a sand ridge. It's typical of Upper Michigan. We got a lot of white oaks and they're dropping, which is gonna help take pressure off this food. And we're running the drill. I know everybody does not have a drill, okay? And like I said, we've been very blessed with our business. And the reason we grabbed this drill is for a situation like this. He called Wednesday and said, hey, the food plot's ready. We got rain coming Friday. Can you get this in? So that's why we're drilling it. We're drilling it at 2 inches deep because this has not been worked up, okay? We got really good soil moisture. We're still playing with the depth of the drill, but I can't see. We're dropping a little bit here, so I have to take a look at that. But by and large, most of the seed is buried, but it's set at 2 inches because this has not been worked up. It's probably only setting it at 1/2 inch to 3/4. I just don't have a lot of weight on the drill. But if this was not, if we didn't have a drill, all I would do after they clean this off, what I would spread the fertilizer, I would spread the seed and lightly disc it in just to get it covered, okay? Like I said, we're on a sand ridge, and seed sitting on top of the ground here would not work very well. Plus, there's a ton of turkeys up here, and they just eat the seed to the ground. So we're planting fall forage sandy soil, 50% and 50% cereal rye, just because there's heavy browse pressure, and I just don't, the buckwheat's gonna get eaten right away on the sandy soil. So, the volume that we want something that's gonna regenerate. We talk about that a lot, regeneration. Just like you're mowing a lawn, it regenerates, you gotta mow it again next week. So we're doing heavy rye and fall forage sandy soil combination. So really gonna be a cool spot up here, Big Woods, Upper Michigan. This is sections and sections of Big Woods. So really cool spot here. Rain coming, that's why we're rushing. You can see it's starting to cloud up here. Rain's on its way, fingers crossed. It actually looks like it's good soil moisture here already. They might have got a little bit of rain last night with a pop-up shower, but yeah, this is food plot number 3 in 10 days. Be a real cool spot when we're done.
So 2 weeks later, I checked on the food plot and saw great germination. The fall forage sandy soil was being browsed 2 weeks after planting, and everything was green and up. Even the red clover in seclusion was looking great for 2 weeks old. This is going to be a great food source in the middle of thousands of acres of big woods in Upper Michigan. A lot of cover, and this is going to be a great attraction.
This is fall forage, and we dropped a little bit of a new turnip we're trying, very short season turnip instead of the radishes. We're trying to get food because this is not archery hunted, there's rifle hunting here. So we want to try a turnip, very low percentage, and see how it does with the fall forage. Came in and sprayed the other day because we did have some weeds take over. It was just rye notes last year, and we just let the rye go for soil building. And had some weeds, so we had to have to spray. Came in, tilled it 2 days ago. Planted yesterday, broadcast a little bit of fertilizer, rye notes, and dragged it with a harrow drag, the Tractor Supply harrow drag, and then packed it, spread maybe 1/4 pound of these short season turnips in here instead of the radishes to try to get some winter feed, just to see how they do, and then packed it again. This is all clover out here. This is to getting into the property, is right there. So what it does is, this is another clover trail here, but a lot of food out here. There's seclusion on the back side of this Milo. These are our brassicas right here. Sweet Feast, coming really nice, but I don't like the color in them, so we're gonna drop a little AP, liquid nitrogen, and Starter Plus, and then possibly drop a little bit of urea as well because we got rain coming. It's supposed to be anyway, but man, this Milo stuff, this is unbelievable. I never thought it'd turn out this good. Put it in good soil, and look at this. Guys are worrying about the drought right now, not us. There is a ton of food in there. And then we've got clover chicory, another plot right over there. So great setup. Just about set. We have to mow our clover blend plus chicory. Actually, that's over on that side. That seclusion over there. We want to hit it one more time about September 15th. And what we also have to do is overseed this Sweet Feast with cereal rye. We're doing that today. The reason we're doing that today is because it's just about canopied now. You can see 2 different heights of brassica. We got little patches of really good brassica, and then we've got patches of shorter brassica. What happened was we did not have rain the first 8 to 10 days, and we got a lot of it to take, but some spots in the middle here it didn't take. We also had some sandhill cranes out here. I think they had their fair share of doing damage, but I like the color. We got a little bit of yellow right here, so we're gonna hit that with our full spectrum products pretty quick. But right now you can see it's just about canopied, so we're adding probably 100 pounds per acre of cereal rye to this. A couple of reasons why we're doing that. One is to create food this fall, November, December. If they eat this brassica to the ground, they have not touched it yet. two, because we're in upper Michigan, you know, anywhere in the northern third of the country, I think all food plots should have this. We're gonna have some great protein and green food coming off the winter next year. I highly recommend brassica. Get overseeded with rye about this time of the year, you know, 6 to 7 weeks after planting, just before it's canopied. It's gonna protect that seed. You know, I talk about throw and grow, and I do not like planting that way. If we were throwing it down on bare soil where it would not protect the seed, the sun would be beating it, the sun would be baking it. You know, like out in here, we might not get a good catch of rye. We got rain coming in 48 hours supposedly. I might not see a lot of rye up on these clear spots. But down in and amongst the brassica, it's gonna grow just fine. I looked 2 weeks ago, we did rye overseeding at Milo, and it actually is growing. It's not getting a lot of sunlight, but the seed is protected, so any moisture that it got, we had one rain after I did that, any moisture that it got to utilize. So we're gonna overseed rye right now, September 2nd, Monday. I believe it's Labor Day today, so we're gonna hit this. It's perfect timing. Last project we have to do, and then just get off the property for a month. One other thing I wanted to point out is we really like buckwheat, about 10, 12 pounds an acre in with our brassicas. A little diversity, it grows tall and stemmy, and it doesn't interfere with brassica growth, but they are absolutely hammering young buckwheat right now. Always going forward, I'll add buckwheat to our brassica planting at about 10 pounds to the acre. Alright, I think this is going to be our last Milo update, because we want to just stay out of here. And I'm starting to see some browse pressure in here, but you look at the amount of food that's in here. You know, we just talked about it about a week ago, you know, that last segment we did. But look at these. This is a rutabaga starting to put on some bulb growth now. You see they're hitting sugar beet top, but there is still a ton of food in here. The Milo heads are just starting to turn color. It's September 5th. This is the last day to come in here, but yeah, you can see they're starting to nip on the sugar beet leaves here. We're starting to get a decent sized bulb down here. You know, we're not gonna have the great big growth just because we don't have as much sunlight. You know, we're gonna work on that next year. The other thing I notice is we're starting to get a little bit pale color here, and I think the next rainstorm we're gonna come drop some urea, but yeah, they're hitting the sugar beets, the tops there. So just an absolute ton of food in here. I thought this is just a tremendous success, you know. A couple of things I do different. You can see all this, they're starting to really come in here. Sugar beets are really starting to get hit. A couple of things I do different is I back the seeding rate down. If I was broadcasting it, probably about 4 pounds an acre. And then I would do 100 pounds of winter peas, but I think next year we're gonna do soybeans as well, just to see how that does. But I see the winter peas are still doing fine. Not as many pods as I was hoping for. I don't know, maybe the deer eating it. But you know, the weeds aren't bad. I can start to see a little bit down here, but I think that dual 2 magnum helped a lot. Man, look at the size of those rutabaga leaves back there. Right here. A lot of food in here. But you can see some of the Milo back here starting to turn color. This was a little bit slower down here because this was wetter. This took a lot longer to grow, but the stuff that's on higher ground looks really nice. So got one of our 906 blinds looking over this. A lot of food here. So we'll talk about it this winter. We'll do another Milo video. I can't wait to see the deer in here eating this. But yeah, this is probably a few weeks from being mature. It's still dropping a little bit. I think this is pollen. Looks great though. Couldn't ask for it to turn out any better. All sorts of food in here. You can see baseball-sized rutabagas down there. They still got 2 months to grow, so September and October they'll still be growing. So I think we got to get in here with some nitrogen, granular, and it'll really help everything.
So a couple of things to take from this video. One, a lot of cereal grains. Okay, we were real heavy in fall forage, sandy soil because we're in August, you know, and it's really dry. Typically it's really dry here in August, and that continues. We did get, one of the things I'm noticing the second half of August is all of a sudden we'll just get a pop-up shower. You'll look and see the 10-day forecast, there isn't any rain, and all of a sudden, you know, there's a couple mile stretch north and south of us, we get a pop-up shower. We've been fortunate to get that, and that's been a blessing this year, because last year at this time we didn't have any rain for like 6 or 7 weeks, so it was really tough to get the plots growing, but everything is growing, it's green. The other thing to take out of this is bury the food plot seed. Okay, we've got a mock scrape video coming, and we did a planting on a travel corridor. We buried the seed, and some of the seed that didn't get buried is still sitting on top of the ground after 2 rains. You know, and if you were counting on that, you know, if you did a throw and grow, I just think this time of the year, folks, you're just asking for trouble. I mean, there's some folks that can get it to work, but if you looked at all these beautiful lush food plots, the one thing in common, there's 2 things in common: heavy on cereal grains, every seed was buried. So hopefully you've got something out of this. Thank you so much. These are some of the fun videos for us. It takes a lot of editing, takes a lot of time to do it. Like I said, I don't have a film crew following me around. I don't have my own personal editor. This is all something I get to do. We're starting to wind down the season, so I've got a little bit more time for this, but we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, videos and podcasts. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for helping the channel grow. Thank you so much for an absolutely amazing year here at Northwoods Whitetails, folks. We'll see you in a few days.